Refugees are flocking to the Peshkabur crossing. Busloads of them to the river Tigris, which divides Syria from the autonomous region of Iraqi Kurdistan. All they want is to reach safety across the river. They are mostly Kurdish Muslims, but also Christians, their lives in Syria shattered. Exile is their only option. Women, children, and old people on the road for days.
Our home in Aleppo was destroyed. My son was killed in the raid. He was only 25. The Air Force bombed our house. That's when I fled with my daughter. My son is dead.
Most of the refugees possess only the clothes they're wearing. Their one priority is safety. More than 300,000 Syrians have fled to the Kurdistan region of Iraq since the civil war began, an enormous challenge for such a small territory with an estimated population of around 4.5 million people. Nobody is turned away, although the influx is overwhelming. Each refugee is registered and then sent to a temporary settlement. Rabban al-Qas is a bishop of the Chaldean Catholic Church. He administers 3 dioceses in the mountains of Kurdistan. Christians have been living in this region for almost 2,000 years, alongside other ethnic groups and religious communities. Religious tolerance is taken seriously here. The bishop's work is not confined to Christians. He understands that peace and stability have to involve everybody. Some Syrian Christians have found refuge in the village of Baradash, 70 kilometers north of the Kurdistan capital, Erbil. The local villagers welcomed them with open arms.
Some among the houses, they were empty in this village, and others, they were traveled outside, and they said also the house is open for you.
The bishop listens to their stories.
Our area was completely destroyed. There was no longer any security. We couldn't move around freely. Everything was expensive. There were killings and attacks. The Christian villages were targeted. Nobody provided protection.
My son was in the army. I made him leave. His friends were also soldiers. They threatened him and said, "We know where your parents live, we'll get you." That's the reason we fled here.
These people are Syrians. They've traveled a great distance to find protection here. I'm very grateful to everybody who has helped them. We're very grateful to the aid organizations that have been very active.
We don't know what to expect, whether we'll find work here, or whether we'll stay 1, 2, or 3 years. And what will happen after that?
Most of the Syrian Christians don't want to stay permanently in Kurdistan. They have their sights set on Europe or the United States. But Bishop Rabban al-Qas is convinced that Christians have a future in the Middle East. He recently consecrated a new church in his home village. Christianity has deep roots in Iraq. Aramaic, the language Jesus used, is still spoken here and used in church services. Some 70 kilometers from the Syrian border lies Domiz Camp, the largest refugee center in Kurdistan. More than 60,000 people are living in the tents. The camp cannot host any more. Salim Taher is the press spokesman. He has seen the camp stretched to its limits in a very short time.
The reason for the constant influx of Syrian refugees into our region is that the Kurdish government provides peace and security, and there is positive economic development.
Domiz camp is not like most other refugee centers. The residents are generally well cared for. There's running water and electricity, and plenty to buy for those who have money. Salah Ahmad is a psychotherapist. The German Iraqi provides trauma therapy for victims of the conflict. Doctors and psychologists at Kirkuk Center help refugees come to terms with the violence they've experienced. It's one of 7 such centers in northern Iraq.
Many of the people who come to us in this refugee camp have experienced a lot of violence. Some have been in jail for years. Others have lost people they loved. We hear stories that are so bizarre that they even put horror movies in the shade. We hear about violence, contempt for human beings, humiliation of every kind.
Asma Yousif is also a psychotherapist. She treats refugees suffering from the consequences of psychological and physical injuries. Most of her patients are women and children. They have nightmares and insomnia, panic attacks, and chronic pain.
Somebody who has suffered violence is not the same anymore. He doesn't have the same personality. It changes lots of things in his head and influences his mental state, which often leads to violence. Children get beaten, the men have frequent outbursts of anger. Their wives don't get any moral support in caring for the family. They have to carry the whole burden alone.
A refugee camp with the dimensions of a large town compressed into a small space. Asma is on her way to Masoud, a very difficult patient.
My patient is suffering mental pain. He hurts his wife, beats his children, and is a burden to everybody. Sometimes, when I visit him, he wants to hit me as well. He's very aggressive, extremely aggressive.
Masoud's violent behavior is a consequence of his being brutally tortured by the Syrian police. He only just survived. He now views everybody as his enemy, including the young therapist. However, Asma tries to build a relationship and win Masoud's trust. He lives with his family on the edge of the camp.
How are you? Get up. How have you been doing? Give me your hand.
She treats Masoud very gently. She knows that even trivial things can trigger flashbacks in his psyche. Then he relives threatening scenarios.
He just lies there the whole time. We dare not switch the TV off for a minute, or he gets furious with us.
And the children?
Our elder boy has run away from home. A few days ago, the younger one put a rope around his neck. He wanted to kill himself. He was so distressed about his father.
The fundamental principle of this therapy is that Masoud should learn to talk about his horrifying experiences as much as possible. So far, he hasn't been able to. His ears were mutilated. He was throttled many times to the point of strangulation, then beaten until he fell into a coma. If he can manage to talk about these experiences, he will eventually register the fact that he was threatened but not destroyed. Then he should lose his fear of remembering. He will accept that the dreadful things he experienced are now no more than memories.
Where are you going?
Does he beat you?
He doesn't beat me, but he threatens me. He's always beating the little one.
When was the last time?
A few days ago. He threw tea in his face. He stuck his own hand in the teapot. Into boiling water.
Didn't he hurt himself?
I don't know.
Bring him to the clinic. He needs therapy.
He might go to you, but he won't go to the hospital.
Then we'll bring the doctors to him. We hope we can help you. If he doesn't come to us, the doctors will come here.
Therapists have learned that even the most terrible experiences of violence can be overcome, and that life can become bearable again for the victims.
Human beings are strong. Time and again I've seen that everybody has a strength in them. Sometimes it's hidden or sinks very low. Then we have to draw it up and give people hope. Lots of hope, so that they can carry on.
This is Adel. He was one of the first refugees to arrive here. That was in 2011, when the protests against the Assad regime were still peaceful. Adel had to do military service, but when they ordered him to shoot at peaceful demonstrators, he deserted and fled to Kurdistan.
Psychologically, really, I suffered a lot. How I was a teacher in my homeland and so on, and everything was available for me. Now I came here, I'm waiting for hours just to receive a blanket. When I heard about the school will open, I came to register myself as a teacher in that school. I gave my documents, my certificates, and after 10 days, after the interview, of course, they called me that you became a teacher in Domiz Refugee Camp.
It's one of 7 schools in the camp. Some 700 pupils receive lessons here in 2 shifts. Adel teaches English in the mornings.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. How are you?
We are fine, thank you. And you?
I am fine, thank you so much. Please open your books.
Listen and say.
Sleep. Sleep.
Get up early.
Get up early.
Get up late.
Get up late.
The children's enthusiasm is obvious. They especially like their school uniforms, donated by a Japanese organization.
Excellent.
Listen, read, and sing.
And sing. Okay. Do you get up?
Do you get up early? Yes, I do. It's very nice.
Do you go to bed late?
Do you go to bed late? No, I don't. That isn't right.
Do you sleep at school?
Do you sleep at school? No, I don't.
At the school gates, the second shift is already waiting impatiently. Many of these children hadn't been to school for years because of the civil war in Syria. Education is their key to a new life, a future without war. But so far, the camp schools can only accommodate 1 in 4 children. The administration block. The entire servicing and infrastructure of the camp are organized from here, in cooperation with the United Nations Refugee Organization, UNHCR. The logistics are a tremendous challenge for the small staff.
This camp and all the camps in Kurdistan, the refugees are living freely. They can live in the camp, outside the camp. They are getting residency, and even they are free to work outside the camp. So we do expect that most of the refugees, they are making money, and even they are supporting their relatives and the other members of their families in Syria right now. So I think the freedom of the refugees is unique. All of our people, from the government, the normal Kurdish people, they are so happy to support their brother and the people who are coming from Syria.
Many Iraqi Kurds were once refugees themselves when Saddam Hussein ruled Iraq. Salem Taher, for instance, fled to Turkey.
In the refugee camp there, the Turkish government threatened and intimidated us. On one occasion, soldiers seized 12 people from our group. There were 60 of us who organized the other refugees. They seized 12 of us, and I was one of them. There were about 1,000 soldiers, security officers and police. They tortured us. First they beat us with weapons, objects, batons, until we were covered in blood. Everything was black with blood, for no reason.
Salem Taher has often had to flee. His personal experience helps him to understand the problems of the refugees in Domiz camp. In taking photos of life in the camp, he says he's giving the refugees a face and giving them back their dignity.
We Kurds were in a difficult situation in Turkey. We suffered a lot, so we know what suffering means. We were often in dire straits. I don't think many people have suffered as much as the Iraqi Kurds. We know how terrible it is to be a refugee. That's why we'll do our utmost to help the Syrian refugees.
But Iraqi Kurdistan is buckling under the strain. Financial resources are limited, and if the international community doesn't help, the region's infrastructure could collapse. The Trauma Center is gearing up for an important visit, a presentation to donors about its work. The center needs to expand, and for that, it needs more cash.
We can't keep accepting more patients all the time. No more than 50 a day.
The project is financed by the German Catholic aid organization Miserior, the German government, and the Heinrich Böll Foundation, affiliated with the German Green Party. A motorcade on the dirt road through the refugee camp. It's an unusual sight that attracts plenty of onlookers. The vice president of the German parliament, the Bundestag, is visiting the camp. Claudia Roth wants to get a first-hand impression.
Okay. Yeah, that's wedding shop is.
An interpreter told her about this surprising business in the refugee camp. The shop does a brisk trade in wedding gowns.
If I ever find a husband, which is unlikely, I'd be happy to buy from your shop. All the best, and thank you. I think that it's a very good sign that life is possible in a situation like this, that love is possible in a very difficult situation like this.
Claudia Roth was invited to visit the camp by the psychotherapist Salah Ahmad.
Wir haben eine bescheidene Einrichtung aufgebaut.
We know each other quite a long time, and since many years when we met first, you presented this idea to open kind of centers, but this was before this humanitarian catastrophe.
The important thing in the trauma is that they lost their ties with the future. They saw that there is no solution to their problem because they are struggling in their problems, in the present problems. So when we give them this as an example, so as we pass through the same situation, and you will have the end of these problems, they become comfortable by this. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think this is a very important specific aspect. Ich glaube, dass diese Arbeit über
I think this work is a matter of life and death. We can't imagine what it's like to end up in such life-threatening situations, where you lose everything that defined you as a person. If these people aren't helped very soon to escape from this trauma, or to live with this reality in such a way that they can face the future, they won't have any future.
Amira is 12. When she experienced the bombing raids on the besieged city of Homs, she was just 10. She lost her memory, withdrew, and stopped talking. She lives together with her parents and 6 siblings in a brick house. Compared to the tents, it's fairly spacious and comfortable. Her father built the house. He works on building sites outside the camp. The therapist, Asma Yousif, is visiting. She has been treating Amira for some time, and the girl has started talking again.
How were you when you came to us?
I used to get up in the morning and find that I'd wet myself. But thank goodness that's better now.
Amira was either aggressive or completely listless back then. Her mother didn't know what to do.
She took everything very personally. One day she said to me, "You treat me badly because I'm sick." Thank goodness she's receiving therapy. Asma always says to her, "What happened to you is not a disgrace. Don't be ashamed. You're not sick." But she's still very touchy.
What would you like us to do for you?
I just want to be well, nothing else.
What percentage have you improved? 30% or 80%? What do you think?
I don't know. What I wish for most is to be able to go to school again. Nothing else.
Nothing else, just education?
Yes, to learn.
Amira has recently started venturing out of the house, a sign that the therapy is working. The staff at the Kirkuk Center views its work as peace-building. Salah Ahmad says violence breeds violence. He's speaking from personal experience.
When I lived in Iraq, I used to think that violence was the only solution. But that was catastrophic. It's wrong. It couldn't be more wrong. Now I despise violence. I would never resort to violence myself, and I'd never recommend that anybody else does. I want to work for peace in our families and in the lives of individuals.